Of course, we have home offices and we work from there the majority of the time, but I think getting out there and like being together, that camaraderie that you have is so important. Yeah.
That's also too where they define it as either an independent company or a dependent company.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Excellence Podcast. Today, I want you to grab your notebook and get ready for a show like no other. Whether you're seasoned pro or just starting out in the business, this episode will have you on the edge of your seat. Join us as we delve into the world of the Orange Park, Florida's most successful real estate team. They've shattered records in units and volume in 2022 with no exception, but that's not all. These hometown ladies are also active on social media and reveal their secrets to staying on top of mind in their community. Recently, they made a big move to Keller Williams Atlantic Partners, so we're going to learn about that. We'll be getting the details, so sit tight as we welcome the incredible Jordan Feria and magnificent Lindsey O'Steen to the show. This is one episode you won't want to miss. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having
I
us.
I pronounced it correctly, right?
Yes.
That's
very
okay.
fancy.
Yeah.
I remember you told me the last time, and I've been playing that in my mind. Is that right?
Yes.
Oh.
That is probably, I can't even tell you how many times I get Feria.
Oh my gosh, all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really interested in, and I'm sure others are interested in, and we talked about a pre-show, your move to Keller Williams. So we're going to dwell on that throughout the show, because as I see a lot of young agents and even our more seasoned agents like a Christina Welch or Sarah Rocco's really only been in the business, 6 or 7 years herself and has that team. But I know the Welch team really well and watched how she's grown, everyone has growing pains. You start to match yourself with the right people, the solid people around you. So, obviously we want to, we can kind of make that sort of the theme,
Right.
Because I'm sure there's a lot of agents out there that look at you guys and go, man, I wish I just had that partner that can really, I'm sure you guys vent on each other.
Oh my gosh, all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
5 times a day at least.
Yeah, but really, and motivate each other as well. Give yourself a little kick in the butt when the other one's down, that type of thing, or pull them up. So,
yeah.
Great at that.
I created these questions for our February 1st originally scheduled show. So these are, I went to the artificial intelligence. I've been putting on the show with the Chat GPT and just asking it a real, in depth, what are, questions that aren't often asked. So it's created a bunch of questions for us. So I'm really excited about that part because I think you're going to enjoy that. But I want to start off a little bit because Lindsey, you've never been on the show before. Jordan has.
Yep.
So give us a quick background. You grew up in Orange Park and then
I did.
Lead us right into when you start in real estate and join up with this lovely lady.
Okay, awesome. So I've been in real estate now 3.5 years. I was in real estate for 2 months before we officially, created the team, and I was on the Feria team.
Mm-hmm.
So like Jordan said, we just are a great pair. And so whenever I started real estate, I didn't remember seeing Jordan in real estate. And so I started, we started at Coldwell Banker. And as soon as I got into the office, I was like, oh, hey, girl. And then from there on out, it was pretty much, I was so hungry when I got into real estate. So I've always, I've been working for so long. I feel like I'm only 30, but I started working so young.
Right.
So as soon as I started, though, I just started, I really just showed up at Jordan's house every single day. And so if there's any new agents watching this too, I'd say, if you're sitting at home, waiting for opportunity to knock, get out there and, just put yourself in positions where you can meet people. Ultimately, we're in a people business. So the more people you can meet and,
let me dive into that since you just mentioned something. And Brooke Hewitt was on the show. We were asking her how she got started. And her first statement was, I just went out and shadowed somebody.
Absolutely.
Is that what you pretty much?
Yep. So I got in the car with Jordan. 8:00 in the morning every day, ready to go. I didn't have anything on my schedule. I was just ready to learn and ready to just hit the pavement. So I listened to all her calls. She'd teach me as we went. We were in the car. All the realtors watching this know you do a lot of your business, 99% in the car. So, and I really just learned from her. And then, so 2 months of doing that, August is when I started real estate. And then come October, she, started the team. And from there, we've been inseparable. My woman soulmate.
Oh, definitely.
But, and a little more background about me. So, my mom, I'd say my very first job, you might laugh, but I was 8 years old. I was hoking under my mom's tables when she was a server at Red Lobster. And they would tip me out.
You'd pick up the crackers under the tables.
Yeah. And I'd roll their silverware and I loved it. I mean, I'd leave there with like $30 and I thought I was the richest 8-year-old there was.
Yeah.
But from there, I had a cleaning company and I met a lot of awesome realtors doing that too. And then of course, bartending and serving and, just all the things. So
well, what's funny, what's interesting about a lot of things you've just served the service part of it,
Yes.
waiting tables, bartending and stuff like that. Again, go back to some of the greats that, CC Underwood. We'll talk about her and even Howard downstairs here at Round Table Realty, how the service industry, he feels, he even still has it on his LinkedIn. Because when I was going, I had him on the show. Now he's been in real estate for years. I said, why do you still have that in there? Because he wants to remember that service industry ideology mindset.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I mean, I think it would be so beneficial if everybody could be a server once in their life, even if it's just for a couple weeks, so you can understand what those people go through, and how to better serve people and understand people. I mean, I swear when I was bartending, it was more like a therapist than even serving drinks, full-time therapist, part-time bartender, but it really helped us transition, I think, into real estate because of how much we learned and talking to people.
So you're roughly in your mid-20s.
I'm 30.
Well, no, I mean at the time when you start real estate. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. What was your first, what was it? Did you know somebody already or were you just seeing Jordan out there?
Yeah, totally. So I'd always have a love for, serving people is ultimately my passion and helping other people. And then I just loved everything about real estate. Yeah. And I saw Jordan killing it. And, I was like, I feel like it's time for me to get into this. I just know I would be good at it because of ultimately, I just love people. We're in a people business. We both love people.
I think I might have asked you this in the last show last year when I had John Jordan. Did you come and talk to Jordan before you even got started?
No, I didn't. I got my license and then it was like that first day, like touring around the office. And I was like, Jordan, what's up? And then from there on out, she had just had her youngest son, Lincoln. And so that was another thing too. It was like, she's killing it. And then she also has a baby. So I feel like that's something else too. I really look up to her for that because she has small kids and real estate is tough on its own, but then you throw small children in the mix and it makes it
And you
harder.
have one now, was about a year?
I do. Yeah. She's going to be 2 in April.
2 already.
So
I was going through your social media before just to see if anything recently happened to kind of pick up a topic. And it was pictures, obviously, of you pregnant. I was looking at the dates. I was trying to calculate that in my mind.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. The year that I was pregnant and in real estate, I was working until like 2 days before I had my daughter, but I wouldn't change anything. So
Right. Yep. So just again, we mentioned, a lot of times, and I mentioned we want to inspire new agents out there. Find someone. You got lucky right away.
Yep.
Jordan was already in the groove and you guys are both young. It wasn't like she's 20 years older or anything like that. You actually had a common bond and obviously raising a families together at the current time and will be for the next 15 plus years, right? Or at least I'm in the house anyway.
Yeah.
Right. Type of thing. So you guys bond. So what do you, and both of you grew up in Orange Park, right? Correct. Right. What do you think, in Jordan, if you want to comment on that, because I know you've been silent over there, what do you think are some of you mentioned before the show, because we talked a little bit about some of your commonalities, some of your things that you guys just see eye to eye on in relative to the business, but even life?
So Lindsey and I feel like we literally grew up the same mindset of like, if you don't work hard for it, it's not going to come to you. You're not going to have it. So I think that is definitely our biggest thing. Our like-minded personalities as far as working hard. There's never been a time where we literally have just, wanted to or expected something. And I think that's huge. Like Lindsey and I really, we both bartended. So I think that's another huge deal is that, we did bartend and that, there was never a guaranteed paycheck, like we went to work and there might be a huge crowd. There might not be,
right.
But we worked and, did our best and we gave our best customer service and that kind of thing. And that's exactly what we do in real estate. And same with our background, we're big Christians. I think that that's probably what I said to myself was like, this is a girl. I can tell she's driven. She knows I'm driven. She's a Christian and she's wanting to go to this Christian concert. It was like 2 weeks of us like hanging out. She's like, hey, do you want to go to the Hillsong United concert with me? And I was like, Yes, I
Okay.
would love that. I would
Yeah.
absolutely love that. So it was like those things right there kind of bonded us.
Mhm.
And then I think it's just really, she grew up with nothing. And so, I grew up having to work hard as well. So I know what it's like to struggle.
Mm.
Lindsey knows what it's like to struggle. And the fact that we have that in common is just,
I remember a line that you said last year was because we were talking about growing the team and who you were looking for, or the mindset type of or background that you were looking for. And that was one of the things you said. You wanted someone that all the things that you just said,
Right.
appreciated and has actually, pushed outside their comfort zone
right.
to reach higher levels, but have come from one place to rise to another. You said it
And I
anyway.
definitely stand by that for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Lindsey and I both agree that if someone hasn't struggled in their life, there's real no feeling that they need to drive for it. There's no, they're not going to get out there and hustle like someone that has struggled.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't mean this in a harsh way, but I can tell you from experience and what I've seen is that the ones that show up every day are the ones that have to show up because they don't have any other choice. Like I don't have a choice. I'm the sole provider for my children.
Yeah.
So if I don't show up, there's no one else that's going to do it for me.
Yeah.
So.
I was having a conversation with an agent yesterday, and we were talking about actually Melissa Ricks a little bit and her story, and she feels every day.
We love her. Shout out,
Yeah,
Melissa.
Melissa, yeah.
We love you.
Her thing is, you were talking about her drive and how she's everywhere. How does she have time to be on all these panels and all this stuff?
So,
And that she feels that like if she doesn't show up, even for that one day, so it's very hard. And I've been in that situation too. You get in this thing and you're like, well, if I don't show up and the phone's going to ring, who's going to answer it? And I've got to be there. So you obviously dismiss a lot of things in your life. Unfortunately, it's a psychological battle that we have. But that's her thing is even though she's earned it, she's probably got a nice savings account now where she can go take a vacation. She still feels, whatever the word is.
it can be ripped from you.
Yeah.
Driven.
at
Oh,
any
yeah.
moment. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I would definitely attest to that. I mean, it doesn't matter how, if we have 15 houses under contract, 20 houses under contract, you still have to wake up like rents do, like you have to go out and grind. Like that's just what you have to do. And we're in that business of, having to put in the work.
Right.
So ultimately, everybody that's an agent watching this knows your money is always 30 to 45 days out. So, I mean, what you're doing today matters for your future.
Right.
Yep.
And one of the things I really feel like I should mention this because newer agents need to hear this. If you're scared of getting on social media and you're afraid of what people are going to think of you and you're just, you don't want to come off salesy and things like that just because you're trying to present something. That is the only way that you can do this business is getting in people's faces on social media, on video and things like that. And they're not paying your bills. So stop worrying about them, and that was a big thing that I had to put that. I had so many people, even when I was especially when I was doing really well so quickly, I had people that would come up to me like, oh, it's the selfie queen. It's the girl that's always on the videos. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm doing pretty well. And it's because I have people coming and questioning what I'm doing and, can I help them and that kind of thing. And so I really had to put those loud noises away because it was so hard. I'm like, gosh, am I doing something wrong? I feel like I'm just trying to do what I can, do the free marketing that I can with my voice and my social media that is free access.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
24/7.
Yeah.
I told you I'm going to have Heather Monahan on, and you guys don't know her background. Obviously, I read her rereading her second book. I've read both. Well, we'll listen to both of her books. I don't have time. I got to get them while I'm going back and forth to work. But anyway, the point there, what you're saying in social media, and Marky Lemons, who we had on at the RE bar camp, and so forth. Because I can imagine some of them in the office don't think that obviously it's confidence. I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, Streamline Media does that. They do work for real estate agents. They said they have to fire clients because they're not sending them the content for them to edit it and make it look good, right?
Right.
And only imagine in their mind, those people will go, oh, you're the selfie girl and all that sort of thing. Oh, well, Jordan's so pretty, she can do that. But it really isn't that. People just want to hear your voice is actually the biggest, psychological turn. You may be able to get someone to stop, but you can create things to get someone to stop when they're scrolling through the reels or whatever.
Right. Totally.
Or the people that love and your friends don't care what you look like.
Right. Well, I was saying this at Rebar Camp when I was teaching one of the classes is your hardest critic is going to be your friends and family. So why not just go ahead and continue to show up and keep doing it, because they're going to be the biggest critics no matter what. So if you continue to show them that you are showing up and you're going to continue to show them that this thing is happening, they're going to listen and start noticing and start paying attention and taking you serious. And another thing is you'll start taking yourself more serious. You know, the more confidence you build up in yourself, the more you put yourself out there, the more confidence you're going to have and the more success you're going to have.
I can attest to I'm an old man, so I went to my 30th college reunion back in the fall, right? So, and I guys that I don't see, but every 5 years. So we do, every 5 years of the reunion. They're watching me on the podcast. They're seeing my social media campaign. They're like, oh, here's the podcast star and all this stuff, because they're seeing me constantly. I refuse to listen to anyone else. You have to take your mindset. If you're, I'm assuming like you got the social media bug because you were listening to other greats that have done it and are doing it. And you said, I'm going to follow them. And I think one thing Heather Monahan talks about in her book, and I hope everyone gets it, is, don't get advice for someone that's not been where you want to be.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I totally agree with that.
If you have somebody that you want to be like, then, model that person. And if there's anybody that's watching this that's a new agent and, wants any tips or just to talk to us, like, our phones are always open.
Yeah, we'll never hold back, which
Yeah.
I think whenever we get asked to talk somewhere, we always typically say yes, because we're new and we wanted to learn. And, we were thankful for anyone that poured into us. We'll pour into you.
Right.
That's how everybody should.
Mm-hmm.
But, that kind of leads us into why we went to Keller, to be honest with you.
Yeah, go ahead.
We were thinking about why we wanted to branch into a different market. And we really wanted to be in, we're Clay County girls. So we have, obviously done a ton of Clay County. But we also want to be St. Johns County. We work a lot in St. Johns County as well. But we want to branch out more and do more South Side and beaches and things like that. Our ability to be able to do that, we need to work in that environment. So there was never we would have never left Coldwell Banker if there was, the ability of being in multiple different places. But we really felt like the reason we needed to move was just so that we can start branching ourselves out and, allowing us to be in different locations. And if we're working in Southside, that's going to allow us to be centralized into all that different market out there. And also to be out there, we have, CC Underwood and we have Sarah Rocco and we have some greats that are we can look up to and start learning about. And, the Welsh team, there's some teams that, we have so much to learn from. And I think that was a huge thing. And we didn't want to lose anything. So the big comparison was we shopped around for a while, and Keller Williams seemed to be the closest one that could come to Coldwell Banker without us losing anything, then also allowing us to also gain a bunch of technology as well. So that was cool.
Definitely.
I posed the question and we went to her first. What are some of the commonalities that you guys have that you think that you bond around? Is there anything different than what she said?
Well, of course, they're going to be similar, Tracy. But I would say, definitely. I mean, we went to that Hillsong concert together, and ultimately, I had been praying for a change. And so I feel like God really put her into my life. I just kept praying, God, just put whoever you want in my life to be in front of me. And it just worked out perfectly. So, but I mean, we both love fitness.
Has there been times you've questioned that?
What do you mean?
Putting her in front of you.
Oh, never. Never. No, she's an awesome part of my life. I mean, she's my best friend, but also, business partner. So yeah, but
no, I am on the same wavelength that you are as far as, he puts us down certain paths. And then of course the question is, okay, you put this path in front of me. I took this door. Was I supposed to open that door or was it the other door? And
no, I don't regret opening that at all.
Yeah.
But other things though, I mean, we both love fitness. Like Jordan, did CrossFit. I'm just in the regular gym, but also I do F45, which I love. So I think too, like when you're, our job can be very stressful at times. I think everybody can attest to that. So having some type of outlet, whether you're, reading, or you go for hikes, or you work out, like whatever the case. But working out for us is definitely something that we bond with too.
Well, you've obviously, become great friends as well. How, and I know there's one of these questions in here, but I'm just going to pull it out here. When you have those times of stress,
right.
Something's not going right with the kids. I don't know, maybe someone who you thought you were going to get the listing from went with someone else, the different things that throw us the curveballs, the negativity and type of things. How do you guys reach out and pull the other one up? If you could tell maybe a little story, maybe a day Jordan had a bad day and and you reached out, and how you felt when she reached out and picked
Definitely.
you up. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Well, I feel like there's sometimes you're just, yeah, of course. There's always things that are going to happen in this business, but we're so good at, I feel like, bringing each other up. So like if she's having, we all have sad days. It's like if you're having a sad day, like, let's do this. Like, let's go do this, and she does the same thing for me. And then there's the other days it's like, bring the bottle of wine over.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, definitely. And of course we have our ups and downs in real estate. So it's not, that's typical real estate world. There's a couple weeks ago, Lindsey called me and she was crying and upset. She's like, sometimes it just feels like no one recognizes what we actually do on a day in and day out basis. Like we're putting in all of our effort and all of our time, and we put out money before ever getting paid for months, and then for us to just kind of, if that deal just falls apart, or they say, hey, I don't want to sell a house, or I don't want to buy this house, or whatever, and it's a couple days before closing, or if it's, you've put all this time and effort in, and it just goes away.
Yeah.
That can suck. I mean, that's just going to suck to anyone. But it's so nice to be able for her to call me or I to call her, and to be able to, she understands because we're in it together, and I can just vent to her and she can vent to me, and we can we can lean on each other. So it's great to have that. And I think that that's so important. Whether you're on a team or not, you need to have someone that you can call.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I think the uniqueness of the relationship is it's not one-sided.
Right.
Lindsey has a bad day. Jordan has a bad day. You're picking each other up, and that you're not scoring, or keeping score. Right.
Right.
Where if you had that friend who wasn't that close of a friend that you're venting on, or outside the industry who was like, okay, whatever, Jordan had a bad day, she'll go sell another house tomorrow. They don't understand, all the things that you just went into.
Right.
One of my biggest reels recently on YouTube was Tammy Baronowski. She literally made a similar statement that you're talking about the expense, but it's not just even the expense. You're putting your heart and soul, mind into like, I need to sell this house. What do I need to do it? Am I marketing it right? You're always, you're questioning yourself on that. And that there's a little bit of stress in that. And then when it fails, you're like, what did I do wrong?
We have to keep smiling.
Yeah.
Because we can't show our emotions on that. Little do they know is that sometimes they don't realize, buyers might not realize that this is the only way we get paid. We don't get hourly. We don't get salary. We don't get bonuses. We don't get any of those things. And I think that that's so big for people to start understanding, is because, I'm not saying that I'm in this position, but what if I was counting on that paycheck?
Right.
Nobody ever should do that, because you never count your money before it's there. But, what if I was, and that was supposed to pay for my kids doing something. And then it's taken away, and you still have to fake that smile. You still have to be a great human being and be like, hey, it's okay. I understand. Call me when you're ready.
Yeah.
And smile. And hopefully they do come back. And typically they do. But
I play that Rocky video where he's standing on the street talking to his son about how life, if you've seen it, will beat you down to your knees, but you got to keep getting up.
Yep.
We have to play that video to ourselves when we get turned down. And where, yes, the average person doesn't fully understand. If they're not self-employed, they really don't understand. And we don't blame them for that. No. They just don't know what they don't know, and everything that entails, and the fact your mind's in it. All right, let's jump into some of these good questions here. We already talked about how you guys work together, so I'm going to jump down here. How do you and your partner handle difficult clients and situations in the buying and selling process? Are you guys tag teaming a little bit? I know like a lot of the husband and wife teams, they'll go to listing appointments together and stuff like that. How do you guys handle it on
So in the beginning, like when I was a new agent, she came to all my listing appointments with me. I went to all of hers with her, shadowing her. I mean, that's the way that you're going to get that knowledge in the business, is if you have somebody to shadow. But at this point, no, whenever we have our own deals, you know, so Jordan has her own listings. She goes to them. Of course, I'll tag along sometimes, but I have my own deals. So we don't really go to them together. But I mean, for people who we have, you know, friends, we have a lot of common friends. So then whenever we do, of course, we're going to go we just want to see them together. So then we'll go together.
Right.
Well, we usually, the time we'll tag team one is when we have like a close mutual friend that's wanting to use both of us kind of thing. So we'll do that. Or if, you know, if she's not as busy and I'm busier and I can't take one on, and I'll just say, hey, will you take this one on, and we can kind of tag team it together. But we always work each other's open houses. We try to do that as much as possible, just because, you know, open houses are
when you approach a listing or even a buyer, again, just going back from my knowledge, you know, talking with other teams, do you sell them on the fact that you are, you know, two great agents together, very knowledgeable and so forth, that when one of you is unavailable for whatever reason, the other one's there, you sell that package that you're getting a team?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and too, I mean, you know, we work hard, but we want to have a life too. And we want to go on vacations and stuff. So then when Jordan's gone, you know, of course, her customers know, like, they can call me all the time. And same thing when I'm gone, like, she covers for me. So it's really nice having that, because I know some solo agents, you know, it would be hard because you want to take a trip and you need that break, that mental break. And then you don't have somebody who can cover your business. So that's something else too that's awesome about us, is we cover for each other. Well,
Jordan, now that you've trained her up, and she's up to a level, I mean, your confidence in her, like I said, you've gone on some vacations in the last year, and were you able to really shut off the phone for the most part and have her calls forwarded to her? Yeah. Or just knowing that when you do divert that person, say, hey, you got to call Lindsey, I'm out of town, that she's going to take care of it.
Well, and George,
that's
John, it's so hands-on. So.
I am, and I don't think it will ever be that. Lindsey is too.
I am too. So it's so hard for us to give somebody else all of it, you know?
Paige, our assistant, is, I mean, she should be here with us too, because she's the one that molds us all together. Yeah. So she's like our real big one. When we're out of town, she's doing everything. So if there's anyone that I can say that we kind of push off a little bit, is Paige on the back end. She'll do a lot of the emails and communication for that part. But we, for the most part, will never turn off our phones. We're really bad. I know some of you very long experienced realtors are like, don't do that. But we're just having a point. Yeah, we love our people. Yeah. You know? So.
All right. Well, that's an interesting thing, because I think one of the things about people who want to grow teams is you got to start to let some of that control go away. Right. What are you working on? I mean, what's the vision of this? Now you're over at Keller Williams. Are we going to be back in this kind of recruiting again? Or are we just holding with the two of you for a little bit?
Oh, that's a great question. Everybody keeps asking. We're not opposed to adding to the team. We just want to make sure it's the right fit. And finding a very like-minded person is very hard. So if that person came in front of us right now, we would say, hey, jump aboard. But are we looking for one right now? Not really. I think what we're just really focusing on, we do so much events for our clientele, and for things during the year, like our happy hours, our Christmas event. We do huge things throughout the year. So we just kind of it's just us. But I mean, we've talked about partnership. We've talked about, expanding the team. I think Lindsey and I have both agreed, we'll both work together forever. There's no...
Yeah, we'll always work together. Things just might change,
Are we going to tweak this name a little bit? Are we going to put an O student in there?
Possibly.
The F&O team? I don't know.
Yeah. We have a lot of, big things in store for this year, and personal goals and things that we're, encouraging each other to do. But I think what Jordan said, ultimately, if we add someone onto the team who's not willing to work as hard as us, then, at that point, it's just not a good fit. So if you're not willing to do open houses every weekend, new agents watching this, or even agents who have been in the business, you have to humble yourself in this job. And if you're not willing to do open houses, you're not doing them ever, you're doing yourself a disservice. Because when I first started, that was literally how, like Jordan said, your friends and your family are going to be the skeptics in the beginning. So you have to prove to them by working with other people, and those people are going to be people that you probably don't know. And so doing those open houses, though, I mean, when I first started, I did 3-4 open houses every single weekend, like hitting the pavement. And now, I mean, we're still doing them,
Yeah.
So just because we're, at a little higher level now, we're not going to say, hey, we're not going to do these. We're too good for these. Like, no, we're still going to do them and still meet those people and those new customers and everything.
Yeah. You made me what both of you were talking there. The agents that I've had on, again, the Christina Welch, Luke Newcomer, and Sadie went through my mind. Christina and I talked in depth because I know I followed her team from the beginning. I've known her that long, and the struggles of retention.
Oh, yeah.
And recruiting and so forth. And obviously, if you haven't sat down with her yet, and I'm sure you've talked to her, but that was, to me, when I really dug into her from the outside, I said to her, hey, I've seen people come and go. Some are still in the business. Some I don't, gone off to builders or whatever. But now I've noticed in the last, 3 or 4 years, she's starting to retain those teams now because she's hiring the right person.
Right.
She's a little more fine-tuned into who she's bringing into the den.
Absolutely.
And I will say, like, a 5-year, goal scale for us, I think we would love to have a bigger team so that we could really just be able to manage that team and grow that team together. That we wouldn't have to be in the field every day, as much as we are. But I mean, the biggest thing right now is just we want to pour into each other. But yeah, you're so right.
Yeah.
If it's a fit, it's not a fit. And you'll tell almost immediately, if it's a match or not.
Well, I think, in being in management in previous life and so forth, you hire someone because you think they have potential. And when they don't execute on it, it tears a little bit of your heart.
Exactly what you said. I think the people who have been with us previously, which we have nothing bad to say about them, but I think we had more potential in them than they probably even realized they were capable of. And that's kind of where things changed.
Well, I think it goes back to, Jordan's statement she's been making for a while, and that's, the hungriness, right? You saw them as like, oh my God, sky's the limit. You can take this person, you have everything, you go wherever you want to go, but they don't necessarily always want to go where you might want to.
Not everybody has the same vision, and that's okay. If somebody doesn't want to get to here and they're really comfy here, like that's totally fine. Like people can do exactly what they want.
Well, that's the beautiful part about the industry. If you want to do it part-time and make part-time money, I mean, there's some dedication to it, but I think you're going to reach a level, which you probably may be already at. I know like Shonda Caponero, who went solo for so many years, she told me she was like referring her business elsewhere. And then finally, when the two ladies that joined her came to her and she's like, okay, let's do it. And it was kind of, you're really, okay, all right, let's start hanging out.
Yeah.
And they got the bond. So now she's obviously keeping more of that business in-house. And I think that's what's going to happen to you guys. You're going to grow to a point where you can't handle it all, just not enough time in the day.
Right.
Yeah.
And we've been there.
Yeah, we've definitely been there before. I know Jordan's absolutely been there.
Last year was a little bit crazy. Of course, everybody was crazy last year. It was just a crazy market. But, when we were in that spot in the heat of things, we were like, we really, really need some buyer's agents. We really need some extra agents, just to, but we just need to stick it out. So we made it through. We worked all the deals ourselves. So
I'm a little biased. I like the way, although Melissa did promote one of her ladies to a buyer's agent, I think. I haven't talked to her in detail. What I've seen on social media, but for the longest time, Melissa was the face, and then she had the support staff. And I'm almost that way, even in the loan side. There's that person's that front person, that person's doing the social media, person's shaking hands, creating the relationships, knows the business, talks the business, does the listing appointment. But then after that, you've got that staff that can really just take it and run with that back office stuff. Yeah. Yep. I'm more biased that way because I think you can start, hey, let's have a new loan officer, or let's have a buyer's agent, but they don't have
your admin.
They don't have everything.
If you don't have a good admin staff, then there's no way you can run a business.
Like our assistant saves us. I mean, especially those times when you get so busy or constantly in the car, like you have to have somebody that's sending out, documents for you and doing these things for you online, or else you're not going to get everything done in the day. So Paige really does save us. I mean, we're so thankful for her. I think probably if we were going to add to the team, we might even add somebody similar to her first before adding even
Yeah.
another agent.
Well,
So,
because you guys have become, lack of better words, thoroughbreds in your, what you're doing. You're good at what you're doing. You're popular. You're getting the listings. You're getting the, the buyers and so forth. You're generating the business. You need someone on the back end to continue doing that and giving you more time to continue doing what you're really good at.
Right.
We brought up assistants. So this is a common thing. Again, I was chatting with an agent just yesterday. We were chatting just about this. Did you have an assistant when Lindsey joined you at that time?
I had a TC. I didn't have a
That was
full-time.
dedicated to you, or you were sharing?
I had dedicated to me.
Dedicated.
So yeah, I had TC when I first started, and then when Lindsey joined the team, it was like, hey, if you want to use her, but I really was very adamant about learning the system too, and that kind of became a rule on our team was you had to do so many transactions before you could use the TC because I wanted them to know
What's that supposed to do?
What you're supposed to do, that timeline, all those details, the nitty gritty, and making sure you're paying attention to fine details and things like that.
Right. So, and I want both of your opinions on this because this is a challenge of every agent. And I repeated Luke and Sadie on this. Newcomer, they felt their regret was they didn't hire that first assistant a year earlier.
Right.
When do you feel is the right time?
Oh my gosh. I wish Kim Knapp told me that. And I was like, okay, I understand. I didn't understand. You need to hire an admin before you hire a teammate. And I'm like, okay, I have a TC. No, you need an admin, like a full-time admin. And I'm like, well, I can't do that right now. So I'm going to add my teammate first and then we'll add an admin later. We should have listened to her, but you live and learn.
That's right.
So I will say, yes, definitely hire an admin first because then they can keep us organized and things like that. There's so many things that you never even realize that you can do with an admin. And the real big thing that the reason I would recommend you do it beforehand is just so that there's time to train. Because if you're training teammate, they're relying on you to train them. But if you're training an admin at the same time, there's no room for yourself. So you have to have already trained that admin, have them trained, them ready to go, so they can also pour into that new teammate as well. And I think that's super crucial. So it can be like a whole.
So all right. So you're a solo agent right now, for example, you're growing like you were. Your recommendation, because obviously from Kidnap and your hands-on experience, is don't go and looking for someone to partner up with as another real estate agent, but actually hire that admin that can take that hourly load off of you.
Right. Yes, yeah. I do. I definitely agree with that.
Lindsey, in your experience, what do you, I'm assuming you agree obviously a lot with what are said. Would you add anything, because it is a common, it's that leap of faith, right? You're going to hire somebody and put them on a salary. Absolutely. And like the question, well, what if I don't sell a house next month? How I'm going to do it. So you need to be in the right position.
That's a hard part of the business that, Jordan has been like, wow, sometimes, real estate is in waves, so you have to be confident that you can pay that person the same thing every single month. Mm-hmm. But I think too, like just having some faith and like knowing like, hey, I'm going to get there. I'm going to grow my business there. Like if somebody's on the verge of wanting to hire that person, and I would say just do it because then you're going to fill that space. You're going to grow. That person's going to help you grow. So Jordan probably would have had the admin before me, but I just came into her life before.
That's true too.
Yeah.
How do you feel about, because there are some, transaction coordinators. I'm sure there's some transaction coordinators out there that are working by the deal. So, or sharing an admin with someone else who, may not be that super producer yet, but they're kind of there. And the two of you together obviously can give a full day's work to an admin.
Oh, yeah.
What do you feel about that? Would you recommend that to another?
Like a TC versus an admin or?
Well, actually, yeah, let's step back a minute. Define the roles for everyone, and because you might have a different thought. What's the difference between an admin and the transaction coordinator?
So transaction coordinator is just going to basically do back office things for the transaction. They're specifically working for that transaction, each and every one of those. So they're going to do your timelines. They're going to make sure all the documents are submitted, send out for signatures, things like that. But and they'll communicate throughout the timeline, check in with lenders and things like that. For your admin, your like actual assistant, they'll go way above and beyond. If they're licensed, great. But if they're unlicensed, that's okay too. But your unlicensed assistant they'll make your flyers, your brochures for things, order your marketing materials. They'll do the same thing that a TC does as well. They'll go into your timelines and documents and send out for signatures, things like that. But the assistant, she planned our entire Christmas party.
Which looked wonderful on social media.
It was awesome.
A little disappointed I didn't get an invite, but it looked great.
Well, yeah. It was a really great.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Totally come.
But we wanted to make our customers feel special, and we're like, how grand would this be? Yeah. And where we threw it, so glamorous. So we just wanted to spoil our customers. But and too, like Paige helps us with social media. So she makes our flyers, like just that little stuff like that. Like if you're an agent and you're getting busy and you don't have time to make your flyers, like you have to be the face of the job, but also the face on social media. So it's you're wearing a lot of hats, Right. So Paige helps take that weight off of us a lot of the time.
Now, are you seeing a lot of agents that are just starting to get to that stage to outsource a little bit? Because there are these virtual assistants all around the globe that are very good at creating these things. Or, I know John Richardson, he uses an outsource. He shoots his reel and then he sends it out and they sends it back, all fancied up and subtitles and all that stuff. And it looks great. To outsource a lot of those things, maybe initially, if they're a little afraid of putting that person on the salary, on the payroll.
Yeah. Sure. I know. John Brooks was the one that told us about the virtual assistants.
Oh, yeah. And then our Austin Gray Home Inspections, they outsource too. So if that works for you in your business, do it. Like I think that would be a good baby step before hiring like a full-time admin assistant and stuff.
Cheaper that way, for sure.
Well, what I've noticed a couple things in the last, especially when ChatGPT came out and I started asking everyone, hey, do you know about ChatGPT? And it is still fairly new. It was really much the end of November or something when it launched, but the amount of YouTube videos are on there that are showing you these basic things. There are YouTube videos on these virtual assistants. You go on Fiverr and they got all these people that do all these different things. And if you shop through them or, say, hey, do this one project for you, it's not like you're spending all this money and you can fire them if you don't like it.
Right.
And a lot of them will have unlimited redos or whatever. They want to please you because wherever they're at in the world, they like sitting there and doing that type of stuff. And they get pretty good at it after.
I think that's super cool. Yeah. We haven't looked into
I wish we wanted to definitely look into that a little bit more and we haven't yet. Mm-hmm. But after Rebar Camp, the AI stuff is definitely more intriguing.
It's our Rebar Camp.
Did I just say Rebar Camp? I did not. Did I say it? Yeah. Who cares? Oh my gosh. That's going to kill me.
Drill it into our head.
It's already barred.
Okay, I know. I'm so sad I didn't get to go to that.
I didn't say that earlier, did I?
I don't think so. That's the first time I caught it. I'm sorry. That's a good reel right there.
Yep.
Hey folks, this episode was produced by Streamline Media, the #1 media company for helping brands generate content that converts. I knew I wanted to start a podcast to reach more people and bring value to the world, but I did not have the time or the knowledge. Streamline Media became my secret weapon to building my show. They handle all my back-end work, production, and strategies to keep my show going strong. If you're in the real estate business and looking to make content that generates more leads and brings in more revenue, check out the Streamline Media link in the show notes and discover how partnering up can supercharge your path to real estate excellence. I had it was November of 21, and probably my first 30 episodes, I was kind of Amy Ransdell. She is a top agent in Atlanta. She actually has a side company where she explained it to me a little bit, but that was her thing. She has a total virtual assistant. Oh. So that person's keeping her calendar and everything else, all the different things that she's going on. And I think a lot of these, the more and more you listen to the podcast, a lot of these top people are really leveraging that thing, because again, you don't like them, they're not on your payroll. You don't have to worry about a health insurance and all this stuff. They're totally subcontractor and they're only as good as their last deal, so they're there to please you. Can you discuss unique strategies and techniques you and your partner use to stand out in a competitive market? I'm going to just turn that a little bit because it's a great question, but obviously we've had some market changes just in the 12 months.
Oh yeah.
Obviously we started to see as the fall came along, December, a lot of new construction. So everyone got the little bump in December because the builders were pumping their stuff out. But now as we start going in, what are some things you're doing a little differently now? I don't know what's marketing or social, just your attitude, how you present your offer even,
Right.
because it's a little different. What are you guys doing differently now?
Right.
Do you want to answer that?
So you can go first. Well, I will say, so the last year, I mean, every agent knows listings were selling super hot, a day, you have 10 offers. So things are not like that now. So, but one thing that we did, even when, because I remember specifically getting this question, people saying, well, you could save some money on the listing pictures and, the video and stuff because we're loyal to our photographers and our videographers. But ultimately, that's your brand that you're building. So if you are skimping out on that, you were doing camera phone pics, you can change still. It's okay. You can change the game. But staying consistent with that, I think really helped us. So people can see like, hey, they never changed. They still always had great, marketing, photography, all the things. But of course, before we were like, you want to be a listing agent. You want to get the listings. So now in the market we're in, of course, being more buyer heavy is a good thing.
But
listings are gold right now, and especially over in Clay County, in my opinion, because the price point is a little more edible.
Right.
St. John's, for the most part, is gotten a little pricey.
It has.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It definitely has. And taxes went up majorly in Clay County too. So that was a big change for our county.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen just here recently since the tax bill came out in November. And so we've seen a big change in that also with the interest rate. So it's like a kind of a double whammy over in Clay. But one thing that I will tell you that has worked with us as far as like setting us apart from other people, we try to put ourselves out there as much as possible through our story and not so much feeding everything on like our main page. We try to be real and post our family pictures, things like that on our main page. And then on our stories, we use that to our advantage.
Mm-hmm.
So we do market updates and things like that. And that seems, we have people that will literally, they'll write us and be like, oh my gosh, okay, wait, can you expand on this? Can you tell me about this? I heard this about this. And can you talk to me about, but we've been going to builders and we've been doing videos there and things like that. And that's been huge. But realistically, like in the difference between us and another person listing wise, we're doing the extras from the get-go. Like we're always going to do a video. We're always going to do the top of the 9 pictures. And if there needs to be staging, we're going to do it. Decluttering things and things like that. But
wouldn't you, so that you bring up an interesting, you give me this thought, because you've been so consistent with the social media and constantly pouring out there, that now people are looking at you going, oh, well, if I push my house, I know Jordan's going to do this social media on it, where another agent may or may not, because you don't know, they're not consistent enough to convince that seller that they're going to be doing those little things. And those little things may not have sold the house.
Right.
But the perception is that it did.
Right.
Yeah. And that's a big thing too. So, we have, this goes down to just being in service, like I remember this one time Jordan called me, it was 10 o'clock at night and it was her listing and she, went to go check on it. They had just moved everything out and they left so much stuff.
The whole
she
house.
Called me. She's like, Lindsey, please come now. Like save me. And so we were cleaning this person's house until like midnight, bringing trash to the curb. But sometimes that's just what you have to do. And
because you had an open house the next day?
No,
or
the house was closing the next day.
Closing. Oh,
yeah. So there was like silverware in the drawers, like a couch, like the whole garage was filled. But it was like, that's kind of the things that you have to do. And just that mentality that you have to have is just to go do it, just get out.
Yeah. I bought my house in 2009. It was a foreclosure. The lady next door, she had gotten divorced and she ended up meeting someone else and she was moving him. She left from dresses, everything in the house and the furniture and everything. Unfortunately, a lot of that stuff gets thrown away.
Right.
Where if you knew about it, the service from the bank, obviously before closing on it, had to go in there and they just, they hire them and they come and clean it out. But they could have gone in there and sold. There's a lot of quality stuff in there that she just walked away from it.
Right.
Blows your mind. Yeah.
I mean, still though, always for our listings, like we go early if we need to help clean their house. One of my very first listings, she remembers. I was there helping them clean for like 3 hours before pictures.
Planting
but
plants.
Oh yeah,
art.
planting plants. We're so big about landscaping, just making everything look great. But going that extra mile, I feel like is something that we've always done. We still do. We're not going to let like some clothes be on the bed and the bed be unmade in our listing pictures. Like we're just not going to do it.
Right. Let me tell you something though. One big pet peeve that I have being a listing agent is making someone. Why? Why am I having to make your bed? You are a grown adult. Why am I making your bed?
Right.
Like I'm just like,
right.
All right, here we go. We're doing this.
Yeah. But now you know what a hotel maid has to go through.
So frustrating. But we do it. We get in the nitty gritty of so much.
Although you might probably hold off on the video until that house was sold and gone. But I remember there's this realtor. She's in Canada. She's on Instagram. Kate, I can't remember her last name. She might go by Kate the realtor or something like that. But she was showing herself going over to someone's house without her makeup on, just in her jeans and a t-shirt, clean it. Because it was an older couple, and they knew they couldn't get the house together themselves, and did that.
And you have circumstances like that too. Elderly people or just people who can't do things themselves. So of course we're going to help them.
So many yards. When I was pregnant with Lincoln, I think it went viral because I took a video of me. I was pregnant, like very pregnant, like 8 months pregnant. And I was mowing the yard because my customers lived out of town and the lawn company stopped showing up. And I'm like, I got to sell this house.
Right.
So I'm over here mowing the yard and weed whacking. And I'm like, getting through the trenches.
Should have put Jordan and your phone number across your belly.
But you're like, what are you doing, girl? I'm like, well, you got to do what you got to do.
You got to do what you got to do. Exactly. Yeah, I think that's one of those things, unlike the expenditures and things like that you were talking about earlier, they don't understand. Yeah, there's sometimes you go in there and, whether you're making a bed or cleaning a toilet or whatever, to present that house to whoever's coming in that day.
Right.
Which brings up a point. I don't know if you do it, but I thought I heard someone talking about it. Even as a buyer's agent, if you're meeting your buyers at the house to show up early.
Right.
Go walk through the house. Make sure, maybe the listing agent, it's no one's been in the house all night long. The listing agent hasn't been there for a couple of days, but you're going to walk in there. You don't know what you're going to walk upon if you're walking in with the buyer at that time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's definitely true. And we need to get back in the habit of it. We kind of slacked off on print out, the listing details and the documents with us and take them to our listing or our showing. But then it became so much because we were going one house to another house to another house to another house. Mm-hmm. But we need to get back into that. That's one of the things we should start working on. It's, and there's always work.
This question here, I like this question because we talked about earlier. I'm going to lead up to Heather Monahan. I'm going to have on the show on the 15th. And the things, the women empowerment. And I truly enjoy hearing you guys' stories. I remember, Jordan, you telling me, you were living paycheck to paycheck when you got into real estate and where you're at now at such a young age. And I like this question here. Can you share any strategies or techniques for building a strong network of clients and referral sources as a woman in the industry? So you guys already were, raised in Orange Park, so you already have that. But as women, how do you feel you, at least for asking from a man, do you market differently?
Well, I market you. You can market to a certain person. So I was actually talking this about at RE Bar Camp. If you want to market to, when I started, I was young. So I knew that my clientele was probably going to be my age group, right? Mm-hmm. So I marketed, started learning everything about first-time home buyers and grants and anything that I could about USDA loans and things like that. So I just started learning those and spitting them off like wildfire. Mm-hmm. And I think that was huge because the words that would come out of my mouth, people understood. And it wasn't,
and you look like an authority.
Right. And I wasn't over speaking things. I was on their level. And so when we were on the same level, I think that I was able to bring it around. As far as like a woman being different, I don't know if I can change, if I could differentiate me from a man doing the same thing. But what I can tell you is I would start going to different events that I probably wouldn't have gone before. Like that baby shower that you might not have planned to go to, I was going to show up. And then, there was moms groups. I was big in moms groups at first. There's a thing that's actually national. It's called MOPS, Mothers of Preschoolers.
Mm-hmm.
I joined that, and I would, kind of socialize with them as much as possible, because the more you have socializing, the more friends you have, the more people you can talk to about real estate, and that obviously grows your business. So that's kind of the only thing I can say as far as being a woman being different in that way, but would make her take our cute selfies.
Well, Lindsey, your daughter. Daughter's almost 2.
Cora.
She has 3 sons that are a little old. So you're seeing what she's going through with the baseball, Little League, all those types of things.
Oh my gosh, it's nonstop.
Yeah.
And I know Melissa Rex touched on that too.
Yeah.
But she's just always, it's like, you're going all day long, but then you still have baseball and these sports at 6 or 7 at night. So, constantly busy. So Cora recently started gymnastics. So I do that once a week with her.
Mm-hmm.
We're like a mom and talk class. But I'm sure we'll get there where we're just doing like a lot more sports like that. But it's definitely she's all the time.
Jordan, have you, I imagine you're leveraging that. The moms. That's what I'm talking. You joined the moms group, but now your boys are playing sports. You're starting to get involved in that.
Yeah.
How, for someone out there who it may just not click yet,
mm-hmm.
and maybe you evolved, maybe you were shy at first. I don't know. You can tell us, we're hesitant, but when you start going in, your son's in the Little League or you're in the gymnastics class,
right?
You want all the other moms that are in that group to know what you do. Yeah. How did you do that?
I would wear shirts that like I'm a realtor and things like that. Like silly
or like funny shirts and stuff. Yeah. But you really are just meeting people everywhere you go. Like always be, like walk into a room with a smile. Like you're more approachable when you're smiling. But I've met customers in just the craziest places.
She has a natural.
Yeah.
You smile all the time.
Yeah. But it's so funny because I'm such a hugger and Jordan's not. So it's like I walk in a room and like I hug and she's like, God, you're so awkward. Now I gotta hug him too.
I swear, it's
funniest thing.
I'll be.
There's a difference. I found one difference between the two of you. Now.
I'm sure I'm going to go in for a handshake, and I'm like, "What are you doing to me?" Here we go. We're coming in for it. We're going in for it. All right.
I love it, but we're different in that way, But still, but I would say, you meet people everywhere you go. I've gotten so many customers from Texas Roadhouse, my server. That's just the service in me, though. Like I'm a really good tipper because I know what they go through.
100%.
And the mean people they have to deal with. So. I always tip good and I always leave my card. Like I always do that. And I've gotten customers that way. Even if they don't want to buy, they might know somebody and then they refer you. And in the gym sauna, I got a customer from the gym sauna. I ended up selling their friend a house and their other friend a house and they referred me to people. So just putting yourself
gym membership's
out
good
there.
for a few years.
Yeah. Well, I told you that before. Yeah. My Blackfin it's been, huge. Blackfin CrossFit is like that was my feeder. Being in the gym environment and talking to people. They knew what I did.
I want to touch on the hugging thing because that is a thing. There's people that are huggers and there are people that aren't.
I'm a hugger.
She's making me.
Obviously, my male brothers are not always most kosher in doing it with someone they're not married with or dating or whatever. I do the side thing typically. We'll do the shoulder hug this way if we're doing that versus the front type thing.
Right.
How, as a woman, do you like you say, there's guys you don't know come walking up to you, or you may know them a little bit, but you're not this way.
Yeah.
How Jordan, how do you kind of subtly like say, I'm just going to handshake with you?
Oh, she's done it before because I just, people know me. They know I am how I am. So I'm just a hugger. If you're serious, then I'm still hugging you.
I think one of the most awkward times. I know which one it was. She ran in for a hug and we put a hand in the middle of her.
He was going for the handshake.
I'm a hugger.
Oh my God, it's so embarrassing. What did you do? Oh my God.
There is a question in here, and I'm trying to think it might be in the other series of questions, but you got, now there's 3 of you, right? There's your husband and your daughter. You got your sons and your man friend there on social media I've seen for the last year. How do you guys, and does it help too? I'm going to throw in there because we're talking about the team, to have the team, but to separate that time to know that, hey, I need time. I need maybe some alone time. Even some of the greats like, Billy Wagner, who I had on the show, he likes, in the morning when he walks the dog, and he says 30 minutes he'll listen to a podcast or something, but there's 30 minutes where he don't listen to anything and lets his mind, catch up.
Huge on time. Like,
Yeah.
I love that. I love talked about that a couple of different times, but I love how he like sets his time, his hours.
Yeah.
All throughout the day. And then
he lasered his face so he doesn't have to shave.
That's
yeah.
nice.
He said that when he was on the show. Everyone's like, what?
Funny. But it's the end of the day where he just spends it just with his kids, and they do like, I think one night it's, one of their child's night, and then they'll do I think that's so.
He has a family meeting. He has a family meeting where he actually has, one of them is actually the chairman of the board. He actually does it at Roberts Hills. Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole family.
I take so many notes from him on that, actually.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yep.
I love that.
He's very scheduled.
Did you get his book? Have you read his book?
No.
Oh, I got one copy left.
Hey, we'll share it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
For sure.
And that particular book talks exactly about those things that we're talking about.
I love that.
Yeah.
But I think that is so important, like what you're saying, because real estate can just take up your day, so much of your day, early in the morning, late at night. Your customers want to talk to you, and it's understandable, but you have to have that time. That's your
Or you're
own
working
time.
on the marketing, or you're thinking about all these different things. What do I need to do to sell that house?
Yeah. So for us, like we take it in the morning, because for us before, of course, 8 o'clock, like before that, it's easier to be away from your phone. And then also we do sometimes we'll do spa days on Sundays, because it's a Sunday, those are days that it's easy to get away from our phone. We can have some time together and just relax. So that's
you
important.
wouldn't believe how many times people don't understand. So sometimes we kind of make up, we have an appointment and we'll set off a time, and we're at an appointment, but realistically we just need to go to lunch with our spouse, and we just need a minute because we either had a bad day or, there's too much going on. We haven't had a minute with them, but we're humans too.
When did you come? Because did you start that way in your business, or as you grew, you had to learn hey, I'm scheduling an appointment, whether you might be doing your nails at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, because that's the only time you could get in.
Right.
And someone calls and they're like, hey, I want to go look at this house. Well, okay, I'll be available about 4:30.
Who taught me that is Eden Jordan. So she would tell me over and over since I started in the business. I think I mentioned that she's my real estate mama. So when I started, I was hammering every single day, and I would very rarely take a minute off. If there was a phone call that's coming up, I'm going to answer it, even if there is a kid. And that wasn't always the greatest situation, because then I'd get mad at my kid. And so she told me, she's like, you know what? You've got to learn how to just put it down and say, no, I'm not doing it for a minute. It's okay.
Yeah. I'll call you back in 5, or I'll be available in 30 minutes.
And I'm like, well, they won't understand, but if they don't understand, I don't need to be working with them. Okay. You know what? That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. So Eden was the one that really defined, but I didn't really put that into play until last year. When I got so burnt out, and I don't know if you could probably go back into my Facebook and probably pinpoint exactly when I got burnt out, because I was, going hard. And then all of a sudden I stopped sharing things on Facebook, and I just kind of just went a little bit quiet. And people were like, where are you going? I got a little bit burnt out. And I was like, I need some time to myself.
Yeah.
So I started taking a little bit more time to myself, and I'm still working. Trust me, that is not a choice. I have to do it. So, but I've started learning that I need to start loving on myself, because I'm not going to be able to last if I don't put it in myself.
Well,
Absolutely.
Does it come to a point where, I totally admire you. Trust me, I see your social media. I know what you guys are doing. I can see your numbers. Where now you've reached a point, it's like, okay, the market's up and down a little bit, which, maybe I didn't get so many sales last month, but you're confident now that you're good at what you do, that you are going to be the 1% in the area, no matter how many homes are sold, because you've reached that level, notoriety, your experience, number of customers that you've got, your reputation, the brand that you mentioned earlier, which I'm glad you mentioned the whole open house thing, because that's a question I always ask. Do the open houses because that's your brand. Do the pictures because that's your brand.
Oh yeah,
type of thing. But do you feel now you can start taking that time, because you're at a level and you start to look back at the last year and go, yeah, look what I've done. Look what I did in the previous year. I can do that, and I can take an hour here and an hour here and start time blocking and telling someone, no, I'm actually, I'm not going to be available from 3 on because you promised your kid you're going to a ball game or whatever, but I have an appointment that's going to take me in the evening, but I can get to you tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
You know,
and I think that's so important what you said, because we actually put it on our list for this year of goals that we have is to take more trips with our family. For me, I want to take at least 8 weekend vacations with my family. And Jordan has the same. I mean, she does have a boyfriend and they love spending time together. So that's important, taking that time. You can't pour from an empty cup. So you have to fill yourself back up. And so, we are planning a trip for us together, which will be that was really hard for us. Because
it's going to have to be a cruise where you can't have a cell phone, though.
Oh
and
my
Paige is going to have to answer all the phones.
Well, we'll have Paige, you're working. Don't take off in July. But yeah, it's hard for us to take trips together because of course we cover for each other. But we're going to get to that point, where we can take more trips together. And ultimately we're trying to build more generational wealth for our kids. And that's a huge thing that we're doing right now is, buying investment properties and stuff. So trying to supplement that income where you can go away and you don't have to worry about.
Don't have to stress so much.
Yeah, you don't have to stress so much. That money's coming in because you have rentals and you have investments and stuff. So that's something that we're super passionate about now too, with the changing market, is how many more opportunities are going to be available for people who want to invest and helping people with their first investments and stuff. That's so, satisfying for us. Like, we love helping people with that.
I'm glad you brought that up because some of the really good videos you did last year were because you've done some flips. How many have you done now? And
flip wise, like actual buy and sell them, I did 2 back to back. And then we bought 3 investment properties that we did, renovations to. Quick. Just as fast as you might flip it. But we ended up putting a renter in it.
Yep.
Lindsey bought 3 last year and she did renovations on all 3 of them as well.
And each of you probably have a little different because you're different families. You're talking about building the wealth and doing this. Now, as a real estate agent, you have a few of these under your belt, and flipping a house is not easy. And especially, and if you have a story where you dug into something and found out, oh, wow, I got to fix this. This is something I did not see when I looked, or the inspector saw when they inspected the house. Those are always great stories. But as a real estate agent, the fact that you've done it yourself now, and then when someone approaches you, which I get a lot of calls as a lender. I'm sure you get where people want to do it. They've never done it before. And now how do you feel your confidence level in actually taking that customer and actually walking them through?
Yeah. So, I tell everybody this market right now is a little uneasy, that I wouldn't really risk. I really wouldn't be diving into flips right now. And that's just me telling you from the heart, just because we don't have a crystal ball. Last year was a little bit different. Things were selling like that. So they weren't sitting. So, but what I can tell you is when you are ready and that market is at the perfect heat, that I would say have everything lined up prior to you even closing on the property.
Absolutely.
So everything to a T. So get your quote, every single one of them, including your, kitchen renovations, the tile, the flooring, all of that stuff. Get it all lined up and have them know you are starting on this date and I need it done by this date. And I actually heard this in the book. What book was it? The Burr Method. If you tell them that you need a specific date and they're like, oh, I don't know if I can do it, tell them you'll give them a bonus. Hey, I'll give you a $500 bonus if you can get it done by this date, because it's going to make me more money. So, or you can do $1,000 bonus, whatever it is, but set your expectations up front to have everybody in line and get in there the first day. Like literally you close at 9:00 in the morning, get them in there by noon that day.
Right.
Have them working. Cause that's what I did. And I had my people that I already trusted that I've worked with in the past on other small projects, have that group ready to go so that they can dive right in. And there's no changing the plans as you go, because there's going to be things that pop up. Don't go too expensive, because you're really going to have to worry about those things that are behind the walls and things like that. So that's what
we got to leave a little buffer. Is there in the book, did they talk about, especially when you're trying to look at, is this property worth it? Am I going to make enough profit on the other end to make it worthwhile? How much you build in for that unexpected?
So yes, there is. I can't remember. All right, I have that in my notes somewhere. But what I do recommend is because there's two different ways to do when you do flips. You can finance it. Most of the people are, if they're going to do something like that, they usually do the hard money loan. You can buy it cash, that kind of thing. But making sure that you understand that there is a margin that you have, a margin of error in there that you do have to account for. I will tell you my numbers for one of them. There was about a $10,000 error that I didn't really expect, but I was like, okay. That was in that margin that I was like, okay, well, we'll be okay with this, because I was really accounting for something in that line. I was really expecting 10 to 15,000 in that error zone. So, and that goes house to house on how extreme the makeover is. Like if it's a total gut, you really need to be expecting for a big one.
Right.
That there's something going to come. Guarantee.
Right.
And then the smaller ones that are just kind of a facelift, those you don't have to have a big error, a margin for error.
And
there.
she's so quick with hers. I mean, like from when she closes, she's just like, pounding the pavement with it 2 weeks.
With the last one that I did, we were done start to finish in 3 weeks.
I would have a videographer on your next one. I mean, really go through, because I mean, what you just said right there, I mean, there's so many people that want to do that, on the next one, really from your planning stages and talking about how you're building in that. Okay. And these are the different contractors I need.
Right.
And the discussions you have with them. I think putting that in a video would just be
we definitely
awesome.
should next time.
Yeah, for sure. And I wish I did it on the last one, because it was really cool. That one was we ripped out the kitchen. It was done though.
Right.
It was really fun. But
is it good to have a dad who's a little handy?
My dad is super handy. My dad's my right hand man.
My dad's super handy
about him
too.
being on payroll. I'm like, Dad, I just need to have you on payroll for all my handyman jobs. Because he's my guy that, something goes wrong with rentals. I'm like, hey, Dad, can you go get?
So Lindsey, same question back to you. So now you've bought some investment properties and so forth. So now when a customer calls you and is talking about the area, how do you feel? How do you approach it differently than you did, say, 2 years ago when you hadn't bought an investment?
For sure. Well, I think you just have that confidence now because you've done it, And just like I have one of my customers, he closed recently, and it was so fun working with them. So they bought their first property with me, and then they lived in it for a little over a year. And then they cashed out, refinanced it, basically did the Burr method, bought a duplex, and they're planning to live in one side and rent out the other. So they went from having no rentals to boom, having 2 rentals.
Cool.
So having that experience, done it myself, so that I can coach them on, hey, this is what you could rent it for. This is how you do it. This is what needs to happen with it. All of the things, just building that confidence so that you can, explain that to people.
And I asked that question because I think a lot of agents get nervous when someone says, "Oh, I want to be an investor." I was talking to Missy Balistra, if I pronounced her last name correctly, from Fernandina. And she was talking about like this one, nobody wanted to talk to this guy. And then it turned out he wanted to buy multiple investment properties and so forth. And you've got to have that confidence to have that conversation. And obviously you guys gain that confidence through actual hands-on getting involved. Now, when you guys are breaking down, because rent is on high demand here in the area. So if you want to invest, it's a rental property right now is what you really want to find. How do you break that down for the customer that it's worthwhile? What are the calculations? I know there's different Bigger Pockets talks about one. Everyone's got their little calculator to determine whether or not that's a worthwhile investment rental.
Well, there's actually a website that you can Rentsy, and that
Rentsy.
Yeah, that's the website you can actually plug in those numbers and it'll run that calculation for you. But also, it really depends on if they're going to have a mortgage or not. That's a big deal. Yeah. And if there's a mortgage, there's just, there's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah. It has to be worth it for that specific person. If their main goal is to buy and hold, and they're really, you could barely make anything on the monthly, but in 10, 20 years, you're going to have, somebody's paying off your mortgage for you,
Right.
And you're building that wealth for your family, for your kids, which is ultimately for us. We want to leave that stuff for our kids, put them in a good spot, when they're 18 years old, or we have a rental. Hey, this could be their first place, and they don't have to worry about the cost of life in 18 years. Gosh, it could be really, really expensive then. But
that's too one of the things that, Chris and I just bought one like right before the end of the year. And that's one of the things that we were thinking is like, for my kid, I really want to have something that we could use that, as an income for them for college and things like that we can put. So I want to have one for Lucas, one for Logan, one for Lincoln, that we can kind of like attack as those will be what they get their income from when they're in college. And they can kind of.
And now we like hold each other to it. So I'm like, all right,
that's your
I want to
house.
get 3 more rentals this year. I need to get 3 more rentals this year.
Right. I had the same mindset before we had kids, was to, have a house for each one, knowing that, yes, over the 18 years of someone paying down that mortgage, and then the equity, obviously, in it, the house would, be pretty well on its way to being paid off. And if you are thinking like, hey, do I do the Florida plan, or do I, the different, that's at 529s, I think is it was, right?
Yep.
The different ones out there, that real estate is going to continue to appreciate, and more, some years better than others, obviously. Might take a step back before it take 2 steps forward. But over that 18 years or so, someone paying down that mortgage for you. Right. So to go into the investment properties, and I can just feel my listeners and someone listening to this right now saying, well, you gotta go and fix the toilet and everything else like that. How do you guys handle it with your investment properties?
So I think that people are in the wrong mindset when they think that way, or they're just like, hey, well, yeah, but then you're going to have to do maintenance. It's like, these are such minimal things though, for thinking about the cash value you're going to have. I mean, if you say you put 20% down on a $200,000 property. Okay, you're putting $40,000 down plus closing costs. I mean, but that property in 10 years the mortgage is going to be paid down. It's going to be worth probably triple that, if not quadruple. So, I mean, I think you're just looking at the wrong things. You have to have the mindset of the long game, and that's where we are right now, which of course flips are the short term, which I don't think flips are a bad thing right now. I think you just have to be very careful with your margins. So like when we were, we knew, hey, this is going to sell for this for sure. I mean, I would say you want to, and Kyle Paskowitz said this to us. He's like, as long as I know that I'm the lowest price home on the market compared to comps, then I know it's going to sell. So if you're looking at that, but also moving quickly, like Jordan said, because, things are changing so quick. I mean, when we're trying to price a new listing, we're calling those houses that are pending. Hey, do you mind sharing with us what you're under contract for? Because things are changing so quickly. So if you're on a renovation project for 3 months, you don't know what the comps are going to look like in 3 months.
Well, especially right now, the way the economy is working. Yeah.
Right. So working
tailspin.
as quickly as you can so that you can still have those same comps as when you're done and you can list it.
That's why I really want to see. I want to see that video. I want to see you turn one in 30, 45 days.
Oh yeah.
Because I think, a lot of people they get the hard, they can get the hard money. And if faster you pay the hard money back, the less you have to pay back.
Right.
Yeah. And you drag it out there again, you don't know what's right. What are you guys seeing I know you're expanding everywhere, but obviously you're most of your business, especially last year, as far as the home prices, say the last 90 days versus the last 180 days. Are you seeing it settling out, or is there certain price points that are a little hotter over on the other side of the river? What's going on?
Well, definitely I've seen them definitely stabilize for sure. They've come down some as well, but there's, houses are sitting on the market longer, but then we also have sellers that are getting impatient.
It's on there a week and they're already panicking. What
happens when you have someone that's getting impatient, they want to do a price reduction. So then that's when we start to see it kind of going down a little bit more. But as far as like what's still selling really quickly, it's always going to be the lower market. We'll always say that. So it's always going to be anything under 300,000 is going to be flying off the shelf.
Right.
But honestly, we've seen anything that's waterfront, that's been moving pretty quickly because there's there's not a lot out there. What else do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there was a listing Jordan had. It was like 700,000 and sold like the first day. And everybody's like, the market's slowing down, but it's some of those price points. Yeah.
Would you credit that to that house being priced correctly?
Correct. Yes. And that's the thing too. That, if a seller's looking at, my neighbor sold their house for this last month, but it's like, okay, we're already in a different market than last month, and their house has really nice kitchen and yours doesn't. Like, sorry, you have to kind of say that to them in a nice way.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just going to be a little while for people to adjust. And I think that we're definitely seeing the buyers adjust to the rate. So that's cool. Because we're seeing more buyers enter into the market back again. And I think everybody can say that. I'm sure you're getting more mortgage applications every single day. So more buyers in the market means the market's going to start moving a little bit better again. But I will tell you, I don't think that these prices are going to go high anymore. I think that's
just going to stable for a little while.
We're going to be calm for a little while.
Yeah. I'm going to finish up, and then I'm going to let you guys, if you guys want to add anything, because we've been going a while. I'm really excited to see what's going to happen. Obviously, when that new bridge goes across there, You guys live over there.
Right.
What is the talk? What are you seeing going on in planned communities and so
Oh,
forth
good question.
that are going to be
So
coming
we
up really
actually-
over the next 5 years or 10?
Oh, yeah. So we had a meeting with a lot of the higher up officials in our county. So Clay County
Commissioners.
Sheriff, the commissioners, the property appraiser. So Green Cove, which is where we both live.
Mhm.
So fun fact, we live like less than 5 minutes from each other, like
Mhm.
4 minutes and 45 seconds. But
True.
not at all why
Yeah,
our
it's
house.
floor
If you
plan.
don't stop at the stop
Exactly.
Oh,
sign.
yeah. Our house is the exact same too. I forgot to mention that part. But yeah, so Green Cove, where we live, is going to be booming in the next 20 years. I mean, it's going to be seeing massive growth. So then, of course, once that bridge is done, that's going to help transport those people so much easier.
Mhm.
But definitely, if you're thinking of you want to move into a place that's on the up and coming, Green Cove is definitely where.
They said crazy numbers that will.
Now, are we going to? I think it's going to go all the way down to Palatka.
Oh, yeah.
Personally,
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, it's already happening. It's already going.
Palatka's probably
Yeah, it
the
is.
steal right now
Oh yeah.
to go in there and buy land or whatever. I assume are you finding a lot of customers calling you about buying land?
Land, yes,
Yes.
but not in Black. I haven't seen
Right.
More so
further
Green Cove.
Green Cove. Yeah,
Yeah. When the bridge goes in, then
that's
that'll
gonna be definitely
yeah.
happening for sure. There's so much development.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And I think from what I understand too, and you guys you've probably been in those meetings. From what I understand, there's land obviously has been bought and been held on for years because they're waiting for this to happen.
Right.
And then when obviously they can sell it for a more prime price if they just wait until that bridge is about ready and people are actually going, I can go out there and it's only another 10 more minutes because of the highway.
Right.
Yep.
That's gonna be huge because right now Green Cove is kind of tucked away back. But once that breaks,
It's a
down,
treasure.
it is.
Green Cove is a treasure. Yeah.
Oh, chill.
It is. Yeah.
No, I really, the Arnolds, Jim Arnold's the city attorney and he has his office and then his wife is at Magnolia Point Exit Realty there and they're friends of mine and they were kind of telling me the history of it. And then I have events at the Elks Lodge all the time in Green Cove Springs
yeah?
because Jim was a member there. So he got me to be a member there. And it's really great to have my alumni events there because it's on the water, great location.
Oh yeah.
And everything that you pay, obviously, all the proceeds go to whatever charity that they're, putting in. So I'm over there a lot. And I saw the theater being redone. And when you guys had the event there, I was like, that's just great.
Yeah. Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
And we've already booked our
Next year.
We've decided on it to go back there again. We haven't booked it officially yet, but we have the date and everything. We just need to give them a call.
Yeah,
So we're
Yes.
going to go back there again.
Yeah.
Because we had so much fun.
Yeah. And they're so accommodating, the owners who own the Clay Theater. I mean, they're just
I mean-
amazing people. So we love it there. It's
And I also, from what I understand, you guys experience it, especially Jordan, because your boys are in school. Clay County schools are stepping up. We all talk
Oh, yeah.
about St. John's all the time, but Clay County ain't that far behind.
Clay County is super close.
Yeah. They just added a new school, Springs Park Elementary. So that's going to be opening up in August 2023, which is right around the corner from both of us. Cool. My kids will technically be zoned to go there, which is really neat. There's, they have a new charter school going in. There's tons that's happening as far as growth and development there. And then there's also, we have how many Teachers of the Year awards in our county? It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they really are.
You mentioned earlier taxes went up and made me think St. John's is under the bind. Obviously, they opened two high schools in the last two school years.
Right.
And they got all these other schools that are planned. I forget someone told me how many there are. There's numerous ones. And I could just see Clay County right now. They're raising the taxes now because they know of the infrastructure that's coming that they're going to need to put in.
Right.
Yep.
And there's quite a bit. Look at all the planned developments that are already happening on the map. You can go to the property appraiser's office and look for that. And it's available there. Really, really cool how much that they're putting new roadways in, they're widening roads. Russell Road will be a 4-lane road.
Mhm.
It's crazy how much is going on. And I think that there's so much to be excited for. I think that's going to be our honeypot for the next 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
And so we're just going to keep working as possible.
Even, from the new construction going in, but all those clients, to me, the best deal I know in St. Johns County, obviously I've had a home there for 14 years, what I can get for an existing home square footage wise versus the new construction going on. And it's just going to, it's what the clients you guys have already developed and they're
Right.
buying new homes. And as we know, Well, I think when the interest rates were really low, we had a lot of community hoppers. They were like, oh, money's really cheap. Let's go over here and here. And
Right.
now that's kind of slowed down a little bit.
Yeah. There was the saying of money's free.
Yeah. Go over and live by there. Oh, I want to move to Nocatee. I'm going to move over here because I'm going to live by my sister or brother or whatever it was. We've been going on here for quite a while. Do you guys have anything you want to add on, about anything? I mean, is there a question? I obviously didn't get to anywhere near all the questions because we had such a great discussion, but anything you guys want to say?
Anything specifically you want to say?
I did not ask. Maybe something I didn't.
You didn't? I'm shocked that you didn't ask us. We was shocked that you didn't ask us. But I did.
Right,
I want to tell the world how much I miss.
Well, I'll pose it in this I'll pose it in this way, because the last couple months there has been a lot of hopping. Some people who I thought were really like entrenched, good real estate teams jumping to other brokers. There's come a point when that brokerage, the value kind of just starts to plateau. Right? You're there and everything's great and you're getting a lot of value out of it, but then it starts to plateau and then you start looking. Is that?
Well, it was some of that. And, like we mentioned before, we just really wanted to branch out to different areas of town and that kind of thing. And we honestly, there was a lot of technology that we didn't even realize we were, looking into.
Mm-hmm.
Keller Williams came to us about that. They were that this is what we can offer you, and we're like, oh wow, that's cool and shiny. So we're loving it at Keller Williams so much. But I will talk about this morning that I love my people. It's like a family at Coldwell Banker. So as much as I miss them, I mean I can go directly back to them. I mean I love.
They have so many good agents there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we have been with them for so long.
It's our family.
Yeah. I mean, we still love everyone there, so if they're having, but I mean, as agents, like, it's so important to like be together, and like Melissa Ricks is really good about that. Like always trying to do events and keep people together, broker opens, like being at those things so that you can see people. So of course, like people from our old office, we're still going to come to your stuff. Like we still are together.
Well, how important is that? Because this is a common question I generally ask. I didn't ask today because we were talking about a lot of other things, but what is the level of importance in Jordan? I know you're very popular. You've been out, for the different awards and so forth. And obviously you were on the dueling panels last week and all that stuff, because you're recognized on the regional level here, at least, right? How important is it to come in the office, whether it's just the Caldwell office, but even reach out and get to know these other agents a little bit, and how that helps your business, whether it's getting ideas from them or them just being on the other side of the transaction and go, oh, that's one of Jordan's offices. I'm going to pull that one out. I'm going to, look at that one.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's definitely important to be in the office as much as possible. You got to be in the office so that people can see you, talk to you, just like you're saying, like you want people to know you, so I would hope that if someone did pull out an offer and they were like, oh, it's Jordan's, offer, I would hope that they would know, like, okay, this transaction is going to go because I've worked with them in the past, or I've seen them in the office, and, we've talked before, that kind of thing. So I think that's super important. No matter what brokerage you're with, you got to keep your good reputation.
And I asked that question because I think there is a good group of agents that, maybe they go with one of these, whether it's Florida Homes or EXP, they don't really do the office thing. Although some of the EXP groups have kind of created their own little office to create this atmosphere, because they realize you can't be a hermit.
Right.
And you have to interact with others in the industry, whether it's just, trading ideas or just creating relationships to like-minded people. Like you said, you guys are like-minded, is why you have this energy going with you. Right?
And some people are okay not going into an office. For us, like we feed off of each other, so like me and her getting in the office together and having our assistant there, like that's really important. So of course we have home offices and we work from there the majority of the time, but I think getting out there and like being together, that camaraderie that you have is so important. Yeah. And that's
also too where they define it as either an independent company or a dependent company. And I think that the dependent ones are the ones that grow more, because they're really able to just be able to lean on each other and come together more. And like brokerages like Coldwell, Keller Williams, bigger brokerages out there are the ones that are actually collaborating. They have the office spaces for their customer, or for their
Agents.
excuse me.
Mhm.
And then, the other Florida homes and things like that. It's just like that independent kind of person,
Yeah.
personality. He works for everybody,
And what's unique about it is you get this, you have someone maybe come from a different career. I'm thinking, stereotypical, maybe he was an executive or had a high level management position. I'm using I'm sure there's females too, but they're like, they have a lot of independency about them, but they realize you are only as good as the amount of people that like know you.
Right.
And the more you're interacting with these agents, obviously the social media, I think, is a greatest example of when you're collaborating with someone else and you're taking a picture, a selfie with somebody at RE Bar Camp, or, maybe a lender's putting on a training and you're doing the selfie, you're at Landmark, right? And they're taking the picture. Now you've entered into their circle.
Right.
Now they go, oh yeah, that's Lindsey and Jordan. Even though you were taking the picture with Melissa Ricks, all of Melissa Ricks people now know you,
right.
That type of thing. And of course we know this business, unfortunately, a lot of people don't last very long. So you've entered into other circles and you become more of the perception of the expert. This person's around, they're about. I think that's one of the things why Melissa does what she does. I've never asked her that point blank question, but I kind of understand who she's listening to. And she's everywhere because everyone sees her and respects her as an expert, even though her numbers back it up, as an expert in the area.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely being in those group settings and being around those other top agents and stuff, which, I mean, we've worked deals with, EXP agents, all the agents, but it's good to be around people. You have to be out there and you're going to be learning from everyone as you go. So with things changing in the market, you want to hear their perspective and what they're doing differently, and always collaborating. I think that you're going to be the most successful when you're always learning. So Jordan agrees.
Yeah. I think, the people going in and out of this industry, one of the greatest compliments would be someone who is with some other brokerage, has a friend over in Orange Park and wants to sell their house. They're going to say, oh, you need to go use Jordan and Lindsey because they own it.
Referral is always the best compliment.
Yeah. Because they know you because of the, as in any other top agents in the same way, but you get by showing up, you are creating that perception.
I mean, that's our whole business. Our whole business is referrals. So at this point, we love that. We love that people think of us and first their friends and family. So thank you guys if you're watching this.
Yeah.
Anything else I didn't ask?
I'd say if you're a new agent watching this, doesn't matter how many times you failed, get back up. They can knock you down, but they can't knock you out.
Yeah.
If you know, you know.
Yeah. I love it.
Say that one more time right into your iPad over here.
Yeah. They can knock you down, but they can't knock you out. Get back up.
Excellent. It doesn't matter what podcasts you listen to. As a matter of fact, I was listening to Heather Monahan's book. She said that herself. And that was one thing. She felt she was knocked down to it, but she kept getting up. She talked about how 14 times the publisher turned down her book, and it was the 15th time. And if she had quit any time before that, it made all the difference. And you just got to keep getting up. But I think the greatest success is that you two matched up. Any agent listening to this can match up with someone great or shadow someone's great. That's kind of the new theme. I'm starting to hear shadow. Several people have said it. Shadow those top agents when you get in. And you guys may agree or disagree. If you're a new agent, just taking your test today and you're getting out, find somebody, if you haven't already, that you can go and shadow for the next 2 or 3 weeks and hang out with and see how they're running the business. Some top agent in
And I mean, Melissa Ricks is the one who said it at one of the last meetings we were at. She's like, it doesn't matter who reaches out to me. They want to get coffee. I'm always going to get coffee with them. And we're the same. I mean, if you reach out to us, you're new, you want to know like what we're doing, what secrets we have. We don't have a lot of secrets, really, just hard work and, staying consistent. But definitely, we're always here. So if you ever want to ask us anything, we're here.
Appreciate it. Yeah. Ladies, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
I think we got a lot of great content. Hopefully some people listen. We've definitely got a lot of great reels out here. We probably have 20 reels, if not more.
Oh, yeah.
Right up to the end, right up to Lindsey's statement there. All right, I'm going to chime out. So anyone listening, please check out the YouTube page. I've gone pretty extensive on that. On Instagram, you're going to see the ladies there. I am throwing there. I do have a TikTok page, actually. Doesn't get as much traction as YouTube, and Facebook Reels are really doing well for me. So you see a lot of it there. And I think it's because obviously we're doing a lot of, we're on Facebook Live right now as well as YouTube. So I appreciate you all coming on, and we're going to sign off.